G'day fellas, and welcome to a Season 4 build order guide. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the Abbey of Kings opening with the English. This is an aggressive opening with a fast castle follow-up. This is an English build order that I think is going to be quite strong when it comes to playing the English on the ranked ladder. In the English matchup, I think it will be quite good as well, playing in mirrors, which are going to be a very common thing that you're going to see. In fact, I think it's probably going to be so common this matchup. My suspicion is that this type of opening will probably be the #1 opening that you will see players actually look to do. So let's talk about this opening. Just from the outset, this is a 7-3-8-3 build order. That means that I've got 7 villagers going to food, and then 3 villagers down to gold, and then I'm going to put 1 more villager onto food, meaning 8, so 7 vills on food, 3 on gold, then 8 on food, and then 3 out to wood. So 7-3-8-3, that's what you've got to remember. From there, we're going to drop down the Abbey of Kings, and this, I will just also provide the caveat that this build order is highly optimized. It means it's the best possible way to get the goals that we're looking to achieve, which are fast castle and very early aggression against our enemy. So let's get into it. So starting off, all villagers onto the sheep, moving the sheep a little bit closer, and then moving out our scout. We're rallying our town center towards this sheep, and we're going to be sending our scout towards the middle of the map so that we can find those contested sheep. In the event that our enemy is also going to be scouting towards the middle of the map, let's have a look and see if we can find their scout. Scout's just chilling in the base, so scout is evidently just an easy AI, not one of those hardest AIs. But these are the sheep that we want to be looking at, the contested sheep. So now that we've done that and we're picking up our sheep in the middle of the map, we're going to loop back around and drop them off at the town center. We're going to do a nice little loop, make sure that we don't come back through this area here. Instead, we're going to go into the black area. And now we're going to send down a villager to build a house, and then a mining camp, making sure that we don't build the house backwards, trying to build it kind of like away from where we want to put down farms, because we want to put farms down here, and we want to put down our second town center. And, you know, if we put our house here and then put a mining camp here, then it's going to mean that, you know, we could be blocking farms, and we just want to make sure that we don't do that. So, once again, a second vill's coming out. Another thing to note is that you can see I've got a lot of villagers rallied up in the town center, or queued up in the town center. There's nothing to stop you from just canceling those villagers, okay? So I encourage you at all points throughout your games, make sure that you've got lots of villagers queued up, and if you need them, or if you need the resources, you know, like as an example, you're about to click up to age up, then you can cancel those villagers. It's quite often that pros will look to do that as well. I remember watching lots of puppy paw games and wham games where they were doing that. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the goals of this build order. We mentioned earlier that this build order is looking for a fast castle, so that's one of the things that we're doing. So we're basically doing like a rush in the feudal age into a fast castle. That's essentially it. I think that this is an opening that you could do against pretty much every single civ, except for maybe the Mongols. But even then, Mongols probably aren't going to be playing Dark Age Spearmen against you. If they do, I mean, you can just play Council Hall into that, and that will be okay. And you'll be able to scout by now against the Mongols if they're doing that, or not. So now we're going to be looking for our age up. It's a nice early age up. You can see about 225 we should click it. And it's going to be an Abbey of the Kings that we are throwing down. Quite late here, actually, 228. I think one of my gold villagers must have been late. This guy right here. What are you doing, mate? Okay, there we go. All right, so once we've got our 3 villagers on wood, so 8-3-7 or 7-3-8-3, then we're going to rally back to food. And the goal here is that once we age up, we want to be able to queue a king immediately, and we want to be able to put down an archery range immediately as well. Those are the 2 things, because what we're going to be doing is we're going to be pressuring with a king and also with longbows. Now, we can't make longbows out of a council hall because we don't have it, and we can't make a king out of the council hall either, so we've got to go for the Abbey of Kings. And the idea here is that, you know, if you've ever played against the French, you'll know that they're going to be coming at you with a knight early on. So what are you going to do? You make a barracks, you make 2 spearmen, and you just laugh at them as they try and deal damage towards you. They try and find an opening somewhere. So this time, what we're going to do is we're going to be prepared for that, and we're going to be sending out our king with an archery range and archers or longbows coming out immediately. Now, we don't want to go too crazy. We don't want to go any more than 5. 5 longbows is the perfect number because if I remember correctly, 5 longbows plus the charge should get you a kill on a villager. I'd have to double check my maths. It's probably wrong. I'm just doing the math in my head slowly now. I'm like, yeah, it's probably wrong, isn't it, Drongo? Anyway, 5 longbows is about the right number of longbows that you'll need. So you can see we're still rallying to food now, and it might look like we don't have a lot of food, but just wait, because they will hand in their food very, very quickly. And now you can see 406, and there's the food coming in, and we're about to, there you go, 410. So dropping an archery range down straight away, and sending these 4 villagers from the Abbey of Kings over towards wood. So now we've got 7 villagers on wood, and these guys are going to contribute towards both the archery range and the longbows that are going to be created, but also towards the mill and the farm transition that we're going to be doing. It's really important. This entire time we've kept the 3 villagers on gold. These guys are going to be powering up our gold because we're going to need to be getting towards that castle age, and it's a slow transition, right? Like, because we need to still make farms. Farms are really important for us as the English because they're going to guarantee we don't have to leave our base. So now the king is out, the archery range is up. You could probably make the archery range with more than 1 villager. I just did with 1. And the king's heading over towards the enemy side of the base. Already pretty early in this game. A lot of people aren't even up to the feudal age yet. I know the Delhi wouldn't be up to the feudal age yet. Not until about now they'd be up. So this king is heading up. Now we've already scouted where we're going with this. Obviously playing against the Holy Roman Empire, gold is really important for them. So we're going to be looking to target down their gold, and we're rallied over towards that gold vein. And at the same time, we've got a longbow coming across the map, and he's going to be doing the same thing, and he's going to be looking to back up our knight. The same time towards our base, we're still creating more longbows and still training more villagers and adding in farms around our mill shortly. Depending on our gold, we might be even looking for upgrades in the feudal age. It depends how good your macro is. Sometimes you will find that you've got extra gold. Sometimes you'll find that you won't. Now remember that the king, in addition to being an absolute beast, so yeah, 24 lance damage. So let's do some math here. 6 damage. Yeah, I was right. So it's 5 longbows do 30 damage, and the charge does 24. So that will get a kill on a villager. So we're looking to go up to the 5 longbows. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5th one will be coming out shortly, I'm sure. But essentially with the 3 villagers on gold, you're going to have to play it by ear because there will be some games where you make more longbows. But I want to really emphasize the fact that you're not aiming to win the game with this push. What you're aiming to do is put your opponent on the back foot, and you're looking to ruin his day, to ruin his game plan. Maybe he's playing as the Chinese, and maybe instead of attacking the gold, you attack the stone. And now he can't put his second town center up because you're hitting the stone and you're camping it. And he tries to make some spears, but guess what? You've got longbows there. So now, all of a sudden, your longbows are countering his spears, and you've got a knight out that's killing all of his villagers, and he's scratching his head thinking, what am I going to do? So that's something to consider. And you can see there's the 4th and the 5th longbow. And now behind that, what we're doing is we're just going to be turning all of that wood into farms. As you can see, we're well and truly adding in our farms here. And once again, you know, when it comes to your macro, it's about playing it by ear and understanding whether you need more resources or not. One thing that you can roughly guess is that it's going to take 1 minute for a villager to gather 40 resources. So if you have 10 villagers on gold, that's going to... It'll take a minute and they'll gather 400 gold. So here I can roughly work out I'm gathering around 120 gold a minute, even though that deviates. You can see there it occasionally says 120 gold a minute, but yeah, that is the true number. And I can look at that and say, you know what? I'm probably going to have more food. You can see 640 a minute. I'm going to have more food than I'm going to have gold. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move some villagers over towards gold here because my plans are going well over this side of the map. You know, I've only got my 5 longbows still. I haven't really faced much pressure. You know what? I probably should have just like changed the build order or something like that. You know what? Maybe when you get to like 14 villagers or something, start rallying villagers out to gold or something like that. But you can see that we're going to look to fix that up. And we're heading into a pretty early castle age here. This isn't a bad little timing considering the amount of pressure that we've put out here. Notably the king and the longbows. That's a 2-unit composition. This is Knight Archer that we're running right now. So it's really nice. This is a solid opening. Now, you're not going to get a whole lot of value out of your Abbey of Kings, the actual landmark itself with the healing, other than healing up the king in the feudal age. Once you get to castle age, which is the plan right now, what we're going to be doing is focusing on making knights. And with our knights, we're going to be looking to battle enemy knights. And that's where your micro is really going to need to improve. because we're going to be pulling back our weakened knights and sending them back to the Abbey of Kings, where they're going to be healing up. And then once they're healed up, they're getting back out into the fight, into the war. So now we do go for the King's Palace. I was genuinely throwing up going for the White Tower, but I'm like, you know what? I think the King's Palace here is probably better, just simply because we can afford to throw down the stables here. We're not really rushing this up as much as you could be. And we're going to aim for 2 stables. Now, this first stable was on time, but the second stable was a little bit late. And so that means my second knight's going to be slightly delayed. But we are going to still be looking for it. Got our farms in. We're very happy with this. So we made sure that we saved enough wood. Because you'll be very tempted to just grab your villagers from wood and put them over onto farms. Don't be that guy, all right? Make sure that you only stick with... How many have we got here? 7 farms. That's enough. 8 farms. That's enough. Don't go any more than that, at least early on. Because you're going to need these resources during the transition period to drop down things like your stables. Now, there's different ways that you can play it from here. When it comes to the English, longbow knight is a really decent combo that you can run. So you can be looking for longbows from your archery range and then knights from your stables. That's another way. Things that you can do once you reach the castle age as the English. There's so many things that you can do. Number 1, we can look to start picking up relics. This is always a really good option, picking up relics. Number 2 is we can look to drop down a keep. So we'll gather up some stone and we can choose where we want to drop down a keep. We can go for something defensive. We can go for something mid-map, maybe on this sacred side, or maybe down on this gold over here. Or we can go for something really aggressive and put that keep right in his face. And then remember that with that keep, we can start using that keep to produce trebuchets. We don't have to drop the siege workshop. It's already got the siege workshop inside. And that's what makes it so powerful, that English push. But my favorite way of playing it is just massing up lots of knights, because knights are... They're a game-winning unit. If you've got knight superiority, you just simply win the game through that. If your enemy can't handle the amount of knights you've got, well, that's all she wrote. And so now with 11 villages on gold, this is where we can start looking for upgrades. So you're going to notice that the only gold that you're spending is gold on knights. And eventually they will get to a point where maybe you don't have enough food for your knights. And as a result, your gold will start to build up. And then you can start thinking about your upgrades. Your most important one is going to be wheelbarrow. This affects the English in 2 ways. The first one is through their farmers, which do quite a bit of walking, as you can see right here, even on the closest tiles, and your wood gatherers. And at the moment, that represents 75% of our economy. So it's really, really important to look for that upgrade. And then, of course, after that, we're going to be looking for double broadaxe as well as horticulture. Those are going to be key upgrades. From there, we can look to add a blacksmith in when we're feeling it, but blacksmith isn't really that important because we are fighting with knights here, and we're in the castle age, so they've already got really high base damages already. When it comes to our longbows, these guys don't need to be upgraded. As realistically, you can't afford the gold for it. The most important thing is just getting knights out onto the field. As long as you can deal with the amount of spearmen that your enemy have got, ideally you want to get up into one-shot territory. And here we've got 12 damage against spearmen, 7 of them in total. That's 84 damage. How much health does a spearman have? Does anybody know? Anyone? Anybody? Anyone? Class? Do we have a barracks out? We've got a barracks out. And I think we're in the feudal age. I actually don't know off the top of my head how much health a spearman has got. That's a good trivia question, isn't it? How much health does a feudal age spearman have? I think it might be more than 85 though. I've got a suspicion it goes from 80 to 95 with the feudal upgrade. But anyway, adding in more units. And now, at this point, you can see that our wood is starting to float a little bit. And this is where you can start making that decision. Okay, do I go into a monastery? Do I add in more farms? Do I throw in a blacksmith? Do I get more production? There are so many options here for you as the English. And that really is up to you. It's up to your play style. But that is the way that I like to play this opening. And this is this is, in my opinion, probably the best way that you can play the English at the moment in the new meta. Because there's going to be a lot of English coming out in the new meta. At the moment, English is played 30% of the time. It is going to probably be going up to 40% of the time, I would suspect, with the new changes. It makes English so exciting to play as a civilization. As you guys know, I am switching from Chinese to the English. And this right here is one of the large reasons why. But yeah, now we're just looking to put on pressure with knights. We're just going after villagers, that's it. But, I'm just playing against the AI. It's not... This isn't designed to be like, oh, look, I'm killing the AI. No, this is just there to represent a player. But now we've added in those extra farms and we've gone for a blacksmith here, still sticking with this production. And one of the things that you can look to do is look for an Imperial Age. Now, you don't want to go too early with your Imperial Ages. It always depends on the matchup and the state of the game, all that kind of thing. But with this kind of macro, it is very possible to go. I mean, if we take a look at the income at the moment, 1,200 gold or 1,200 food a minute, 1,300 food a minute. That's not too bad. 2 minutes and you're up to Imperial with that. Gold, 420. Nice. So it's something that very easily can go towards Imperial. I think once you get to Imperial, your main goal is going to be looking for that Wingard. Obviously, Wingard, a really, really strong landmark, but there's nothing to stop you from going Berkshire now as well. We've seen players pull out the Berkshire in the late game a number of times, so who knows what is in store for the English. But this is pretty much it. This is how I'm enjoying the English at the moment. I'd love to know what you guys think, and yeah, we might leave it there. If you've got any questions, leave them down below, because I will go through it and take a look. I can always answer them, and of course, if you've got any other questions just about the coaching, well, make sure you check out Patreon, because we've got plenty of coaching content on there. Team games, 1v1, English, and lots of other civilizations. All the other civilizations, in fact. And yeah, there's plenty of videos. I think we're almost up to 50 videos now. So go check it out. Go say g'day. And of course, we'll catch you guys in the next one. Thank you guys for watching.